And next I take this my spark plugs away, and I have already released these nuts that I can take those out. Okay, and this test starts so that I have to open firstly these ignition coils, these electric cables, and this opens so that I press that side and then I pull out this. This opens nicely, and then there are these locking nuts and bolts, and I remove these bolts, and now these my ignition coils are free. And then we can start to do that testing. Okay, and this testing happens really that I need spark plugs, and I install firstly in here spark plug in this ignition coil. Okay, and this is a little bit loosened. And then I have to connect firstly this connector in here, in that way. And then when I start, we should to see in here this sparking in here in that area. And let's look that can we see anything when I start this my car. And now one important thing. And now very important warning information message. Now when we have these modern cars, like this my current Honda car, there is very high powerful electricity inside in this coil and spark plug area. And now when I am starting this my car soon next, I start my car soon next, do not ever touch this spark plug and that coil with your hand or any body parts, because there is risk of this very dangerous this lethal electric shock and electric impact like flashing. And that's we have to only look this thing about 1 feet or 2 feet away, that how this sparking is happening in this area in here. But do not ever touch these parts when we are starting or then engine is running. Only watch. And next I go to start my car, and we go to focus that area, because if we can see in here sparking, then we can think two things. Our ignition coil is okay and spark plug is okay. Okay, and let's go to do that test. Okay, and now I take firstly closer view, and firstly we look at sparking when we have light on, and then I close on my lights. Okay, and let's do that. What can we see when I go to next start my engine? Okay, now I go. And soon we can see sparking, I hope. Okay. Okay, something happens now. There flies. Okay, one ignition coil flies away. Okay. This was not good thing. And I have to install this my bolt back, because this was not the purpose. Sorry. And let's test that test again. And let's do that test again. Okay, and let's look at what we can see in there. Can see any sparking. Okay, and now really I didn't see anything in sparking in here, and that's I look a little bit closer, and now we can look closer that can we see anything in here. And now I also remove my lights that we can see the sparking more well. And next I go to start my car. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, and now there was really sparking in that area, and that means now that now this my ignition coil, that one, this is okay. This is fine. And now I can change another coil that we can test this next coil, because I have 4 of these. And now I connect second coil, and let's look at what can we see in here. This sparking up again. Now we have the second coil. I go to start. Okay, good. And let's look the results. Okay, great. And second coil is also okay. And then I change this third coil. And let's test that how this third coil works. This is really interesting. Okay, now we have coil number 3, and now I go to start engine. Good, and then we look the results. Okay, and in this coil there happens something different. I think that this gives this spark in wrong position. And let's test that thing again. That did I see this right? Because I thought that there is something different way this sparking. But let's test again. Okay, and now I go to start my engine. Okay, cool. And let's look results. Okay, and now I am meaning and thinking that maybe this coil is giving a little bit bad sparking. This is not okay. I think that timing is wrong, and let's test that and compare to against these 2 okay coils, that we can see this difference. And now I connect this my second coil set in also in here, and soon we have 2 spark plugs in together. And let's look at how they keep sparking if we compare these both sparking. Okay, now they are nicely in that way, and then I check that we can see both of those sparking. Okay, and now really that one is in my mind okay, but this is not. And now I turn off lights again, that we can see this difference. Now I go to start my engine, that we can see that is there similar sparking in both coils. let's look the results. Okay, and now when I think that what is this situation, I think that they are quite similar. Maybe this spark is weaker, and that's I now replace the spark plugs, that we can compare that what is difference between these spark plugs. Okay, now they are nicely. And now I go to start again this my engine. Okay, and now if there happens so that this spark is lower and weaker than this one, then spark plugs are different qualities. But let's check that if now this is very high spark and this is low, then we can think that spark plug is bad. Okay, let's go to do testing. Okay, let's compare the results. And they look very similar, and that's I have to focus this view more closer. Okay, and now we are looking this weaker coil, and we can especially look at how this part makes sparking. And now I go to start my engine. Okay, and then we look the results. Okay, and I think now that maybe this spark is a little bit weak and in wrong timing, I have feeling. And let's test this second one, what is in this right area, because it should be okay, coil, ignition coil and spark plug. Okay, and let's look that second one, this spark plug. Okay, and how spark plug is working when it is okay and right. Now I turn off light and let's look this sparking, because I think that that one sparking is more powerful and timing is solid. That in what is this blinking flasher time. Let's check that also. Okay, good, and let's look the results. Okay, and really, in my understanding, this spark plug gives more powerful spark, and also its timing is better. And that's I can now say that this second coil is bad and damaged. And now I think that this is bad coil because there is two things. This spark inside in here was weaker, and also this timing was not so accurate than in that one. And that's I can say that this is like dismissed and bad coil, and in that way you can also notice that what of your coils are bad and okay. And of course, okay, and now we have really found that the second coil, this is bad, and then we have this final coil what we can also inspect. And if you have coil what looks like that it is almost broken, then we can right away think that this coil is also dismiss and damage that one. And I can mark also in here that this is bad coil and X sign in here. That means that this is like not workable and this is bad coil. Okay, and in this test shows to us that we can test that what is good coil and what is good coil and what is bad coil, and in sometimes we can see that if parts are missing then it is right away bad. And I hope that you are now more wiser and you can use this my information in your services. And now I need to purchase two of these two coils, and I can purchase these from my dealership, or then if I can find used these parts from like eBay or Amazon.com, because this coils maker is this Denso, and Denso is Toyota's part, and really this my coils they damage because my engine overheats and it becomes too hot, and that's I damage my car's coils. Okay, and that kind of information to you, my friend, and see you in next video.